Yo.
Yo, I had a nice game.
I did not, but I'm still ready to go. So it's all good. Uh what did you decide by the way for Slark or Necro today?
Let's do Slark. I'm playing carry, and well, I'm not doing too hot today either. I'm currently on a 8-game loss streak, but I'm eager to break it with some BSJ magic.
Nice, nice. I'm ready. I feel you there. Yeah. Despair. Is this your first time playing Slark or have you played him in the past or
I've played him 4 times,
okay.
3 wins in unranked, and I just lost against my own viewers.
Oh, no. I mean, that's not really fair though. They get to study you all the time. So I mean, then they're probably like spamming Slark while also studying, and you're not playing Slark. You know, it's all that shit. I'm sure.
Right.
But yeah, man. You just want to load? You want to like watch that replay and see what we got?
Yeah,
Slark?
sure. We might as well. It's the practice game in my match history. It's probably a slightly unrepresentative game. Something happened here that never happened to me before. So, the bounty rune thing happened. Nobody died. I tried to go through this warp gate, and then Nyx was there, and this happened.
I've seen that like once or twice, so that's unfortunate.
It's
I
funny
would just
because
call
like
that unfortunate.
this never happens, but in a viewer game it happened.
Stream snipers, yeah, it's so strange.
They couldn't be sniping. I asked them not to. So anyway, bad start to the lane. Witch Doctor IO, 2 ranged. So anytime I play against Slark, I'm melee because I mostly play melee. But would this be like a pretty tough lane?
Yeah, so when you're like Slark Ursa, the type heroes, and you're against double range, you pretty much always go boots and you don't finish the components of your Wraith Band. So even if you had like Slipper plus Circlet at the start, or in this case Stick plus Circlet, you just don't finish the Wraith Band because you're never really trading with them. The only way you'll ever take a good trade is if you pick and choose your battles with boots. So that's like the best adjustment you can make. But yeah, it's definitely not like a ideal lane to play into. You'd rather be against a melee offlaner.
You gap close and you run better.
Yeah, so you use like the creep aggro defensively too, so you just walk up faster and then walk away faster as well.
Sure, yeah.
You take less damage.
That makes a lot of sense. Because I'm getting a trading item. I'm getting armor against mostly magic damage. Like the Wraith Band, right? Like I'm just following a build blindly, like stupidly.
Yeah, I want you, because I know you play a lot of Ursa, right? So
yeah.
A lot of the way you approach lanes as Slark, it's kind of similar to Ursa. You get those like couple pot shots in with your Essence Shift instead of your Fury Swipes. You're against 2 range, you'll want to go boots. The only difference is that Slark doesn't buy regen items. Like he doesn't buy like the Battle Fury Ring of Health or the Cornucopia now.
Yeah.
But he plays to get 6 basically, because once you have 6, you have all the regen you could need. So I mean, so far, I mean, you had a rough start to the lane. Other than defensively aggroing a bit more, I think like in these spots, like if you in those 2 CS they denied, you could have defensively aggroed those.
Sure.
Other than that, I don't really think there's much different that you could do so far.
Yeah, I mean it's a terrible start. I'll get better at some of the stuff automatically, but it helps to like kind of go through some best practices that are not as obvious, like the immediate boots against double range. I think that makes a lot of sense. Do you think that's true on Ursa as well?
The only difference on Ursa is that you could also go just rush. Like in the past, you could like rush a Ring of Health. On Ursa, I still think it's pretty much the same if you're against 2 range.
I already kind of do that sometimes. Like with Ursa, I'm comfortable, but with Slark, I'm just copying.
Yeah, you were just following a guide. Yeah, I got you.
Some blueprint. Like sometimes with Ursa, I do get items to kill. Sometimes I get boots. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think you can use a lot of the knowledge you have from Ursa to help with Slark in the laning phase. The heroes are quite different afterwards, but during the lane they're pretty similar.
But
like they both have a bit of a gap close.
Ursa hits people. Ursa hits people and gains extra space because they are hurt and they have Fury Swipes. You zone them out. You sometimes stand in between the enemy and yourself, especially if they're melee. For Slark, very similar thing. You remove attributes, you make them weaker, they take damage, you get stronger. How big of a part would you say is the fact that you're getting those bonus stats? Like, do you need those stats to do well in the lane just as much as a Razor might just static link for the stats of it?
Yes, pretty much. Like, In that case, I mean, I respect that play, but that's like a play I would not make myself, just because if I'm going to go on them, it's usually when I've already hit them 2 or 3 times and then I pounce them. Like, I think they're out of position where I can already hit them, or they're like super low from me hitting them already. So, like, the way I view Ursa and Slark is I usually don't take trades or I don't go on them unless I've already hit them once or twice, minimum. And then if I've hit them once or twice, especially against melee, it's similar to Ursa where you play more aggressively and they should be scared of you because a lot of it's that Slark has like no stat gains himself. Like his stat gains are really bad. So without Essence Shift stacks, you pretty much gain 1 damage per level, which is like nothing. So yeah, I guess my short answer to your question would be yes, it's all about the Essence Shift. But in regards to the difference between like Slark and Ursa in this case is that you don't really have a way to help you secure CS. Like Ursa can hit the CS a few times to get the Fury Swipes buff on them, but Slark can't do that, so that's like a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
Between the 2 heroes. Also, Slark is more XP based because if he gets to level 6 decently, then he will be good to go from there. Your weakest point of Slark is generally level 4 and 5 because the skill you're leveling, which is Dark Pact, doesn't really trade very well because you're like killing yourself partially with it as well. So that's why he kind of gets weak. Level 4 and 5, these other heroes are leveling spells that do more and more damage. You're just leveling a spell that kind of kills you before 6. So, yeah, that's kind of his power spikes in lane. Because Ursa, he really likes level 4 and 5 because he gets like his gap close, his overpower is like 2nd, 3rd point in his Fury Swipes. But yeah, Slark's power spikes are like level 1 and 2, and then level 6.
1 and 2 and 6. Yeah, okay. Would you want to not keep lane equilibrium at level 1 in order to get level 2 quicker and get like a pounce?
Yeah, it's worth considering, absolutely. But the only reason I would do that is because I was hitting them a lot with Essence Shift, and I was drawing creep aggro because of it. You know, like that's the way I would push the wave.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Like I wouldn't intentionally just hit creeps.
Yeah, makes sense. Sure. You're not planning it like let's kill all these, and you're just hitting. They see you hitting. You're zoning them. They took some hits. You weave in and out, but now your creeps have not been taking enough damage, so you just roll with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense. My CS, of course, is atrocious, but let's look at the situation now. I'm gonna be in a situation like this, surely sometime. I'm low health. I'm almost level 6. I need level 6 to be healthy. Do I ever ask my support not to be there? Do I just stand next to creeps and not get gold? That's kind of not acceptable.
I think I think there's gonna this like level 5.5 to 6 is by far the most awkward part of Slark's laning phase. Like even like against even better players, they'll run at you like really hard because they know it's a really weak point for Slark. So I guess my answer is like he's one of the few heroes that I might accept not getting creeps for like 2 or 3 waves. If you feel like you can't get creeps, even if your support is there, then I would tell them to just let you get XP. That would be my communication to them. Yeah. It is a hero worth soaking XP on though, just for that small window, because once you get 6, you're like totally good to go. So like you kind of need to expect what's happening here to happen to Slark. It happens a lot. So this is the type of stuff that I think in Dota it's best to know you're going to be weak, and the enemy potentially could punish you. They're not always going to, and they're not always going to be able to, but they potentially could. So in that kind of spot, you just need to be ready for it. That's about it. So maybe like, go ahead.
Would you go like get a jungle creep camp?
On Slark specifically, I would have to feel like I can't even get XP in lane.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the lane has to be like near their tower, and I can't even walk up to it without taking a lot of damage. If that's the case, then I'll go farm jungle. But aside from that, I think it's just better to lane because you'll get the XP faster. Yeah. And your farming spell kills you. So that's.
Yeah, I learned that today. I mean, I played him, but I forgot that part that it deals damage to self. So I'm up to date with what that does again. Falcon Blade, Echo Saber. I see mostly Echo Saber, Dota 2 Pro Tracker.
Yeah, most Slarks right now are going Echo Saber and Diffusal, and then they're disassembling the Echo Saber into an axe.
Yeah.
That's generally what most people are doing.
And we see some Mage Slayer from the Oblivion staff.
Yeah, that's a lot of times against like any magic damage hero that'll fight back, pretty much. So in this case, like Witch Doctor would be an example. Pudge would be an example where Mage Slayer is nice.
Yep.
I pretty much never see Falcon Blade anymore.
Yeah.
In my games, all
Old
the Slarks
version.
are doing. Yeah, they're all doing the Echo Saber or Diffusal. The only decision is whether or not you go the Echo Saber first or the Diffusal first.
Ah.
Echo Saber is more about like I want to stay in my lane. I'm really strong and just be tanky and hard to gank. While Diffusal is like I feel like I have a sense of urgency to start running around the map as soon as possible. So usually if I'm losing like this, I either go Midas or Diffusal. Like if I'm having a really bad game, because the Diffusal makes you be able to make 1 or 2 quick plays, and the Midas just means I don't think I can make any plays, and then you go the exact same items as you would normally.
So,
So
in summary, would you maybe agree with this? Echo Saber, when you're strong and winning the lane, and you think you cannot easily be pushed out,
yes,
it's a valuable item and it deconstructs well. Then Diffusal, if your lane is lost, you're pushed out, but the other lanes are not horrible.
yeah, yes, that's a good way to word it. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you have
The
someone
other
you can
lanes
play
will
with.
exactly. You have somebody else that makes you strong
Welcome
that
to
you
the
can follow
Grubsters.
in, and then that's the kind of
Silver
time where, like,
22
say your
miles,
offlaners
more like
leading the
Grubby
charge,
than
you would
Battle.
like wrap around and Diffusal a support, and then
Yeah.
pick them off in the back.
And I think this
Sort of
was a
deal.
Midas game.
Yeah, based on actually your Legion and Invoker are doing really well. So I think because you're against Pudge IO though, so Slark, the issue he has like 2 issues as he's scaling. Is one, that they can burst you. That's one problem. So heroes like Nyx in this game would be a bit of a consideration. But the other problem is that the opponent can just ignore your 10 seconds of invulnerability. Like you have your 5 seconds of ulti, and then you have your shard, and they can just tank it. Like that's something that is possible. And then like after you come out of that, they're like killing you because they had like AoE damage ticking on you and stuff.
Yes.
So that's like a strong consideration against like Leshrac, Pudge. I mean, in this case, Core Witch Doctor, where a lot of Slark's bad matchups in Dota are ones that can kill him in a single stun, like Axe and Legion, or heroes that can stun him or dissuade him from hitting during his ult. So like Earthshaker is actually like a really bad matchup for Slark. CM, for instance, because most of her spells are ground targeted. These examples of heroes that can actually do a lot of damage to you and then protect themselves with spells are a lot of his bad matchups. So ones like Silencer and Dazzle that like have damage over times that can be dispelled, those are like horrible matchups for them. Like those are really good Slark matchups. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, like IO tends to be pretty good for Slark. He likes these backline supports that like are trying to save their cores. He likes like Undying, no stun supports. Those are the heroes he really likes playing against. So I'm just mentioning this as like hopefully giving you a bit of a better idea of games where you think you'll have playmaking potential. Like in this game, I think because you're behind, you would literally die to their AoE spells before you kill them. So like in this case, like like this is an example where since you're behind, you kind of have to accept that you can't make any plays. So if you're going to participate in something, it would be because you were following one of your teammates that you thought could lead the charge. And honestly, on Slark, I would really only do that if I feel like I can't play alone, like I can't farm by myself. So he's like really survivable on the map, but maybe like if Nyx was missing in this game, like you'd be afraid of like a Nyx ulti into one other hero killing you. But like this is an example where if Nyx was showing, I would feel pretty safe to be by myself this game because every other hero in the game, you could easily push Q and remove their stuns. So you have Q, you have your Dark Pact to remove stuns, you have your Pounce to disengage, you have your ult as like a oh shit button. So the one thing to get in the habit of as Slark is to like basically people will ask if certain spells are dispellable, and the reason why I know if any spell in the game is dispellable because that's like one of the most important knowledge things to have on Slark because like for instance Witch Doctor's Maledict is not dispellable, so even if you Dark Pact you'll still have it on you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a matchup. It's not like that bad of a matchup, but you just need to be aware of it when you get Dark Pacted at the start, that you probably want to lead off with an ultimate, like immediately, so you don't take a ton of damage. But like in this game, they don't have any disables that are that go through Dark Pact, so that's nice. It makes it easier to play Slark. Sound like you had a question.
No, you said if you get maledicted early, you have to ult early.
Yeah, because your ulti gives you health regen and will
Yeah.
prevent you from taking further damage. So,
Yeah, makes sense.
That's just an example where certain spells that are not Dark Pactable or dispellable, you can like play around it with just using your spells. Other times you have to like make sure you don't get hit by those spells, sort of deal. Like Disruptor ulti, you usually have to buy BKB because you can't dispel that.
Yeah.
Doom, Axe Call, you usually buy Sanj and Yasha against Axe.
Sure.
Because reduce the duration of call. Legion, similar thing. You either go Lincolns or Sanj and Yasha usually.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, if you can't dispel the spell, you usually have to itemize or adjust your playstyle according to whatever the spell is. So
Yeah, makes sense. And then sometimes Nullifier, if you need it to stick to people, if they have like Ghost Scepter, Force Staff, and stuff.
yeah, that's like a 4th or 5th item after Ags. So it'd be like Echo Saber, Diffusal, Ags. Probably, make the Mage Slayer after the BKB. Sorry, sorry, I'm losing track. It'd be Echo Saber, Diffusal, Ags, Mage Slayer.
Yes.
Use the Oblivion Staff, and then that would be about the earliest you would buy Nullifier.
Sure,
would be
yeah.
right there. Usually that 4th or 5th item is a BKB or an item that helps you stick on your target. So it'd be Nullifier, Basher, Scotty, something like that would be that item.
This is a very good Scotty game.
Yeah, this would be a very nice Scotty game. Yeah, this is a really nice one.
Spoiler, I never end up getting it, but I mean, I recognized it was a good game, but I was more like, I don't have any net worth, so that's part of it.
Yeah, so a lot of the Slark is like, notice what you ended up doing for the rest of the game is like you tried to make some plays, and then you realize like, oh shit, I can't make plays. So that's why I was trying to give you an idea when I was describing what kind of heroes you're good against and bad against, that if you have a bad lane, the most important thing to ask yourself is whether or not you can still participate in the game. As Slark, it's like a really important question to ask because he wants to be active. That's like what the hero wants to do.
Yeah.
But there's also just some games that you simply can't. So like if you had gone Midas, pretty much AFK farmed it up until Echo Saber, Diffusal, Ags, or like Echo Saber, Ags at the minimum.
Might be better.
It would have been like you would have been playing this game the same way, but you would probably have an extra, 1,000 to 2,000 net worth at this point.
Yeah.
So,
I regretted not getting Midas this game because I've seen plenty of Slark itemizations from other people in my game, either my Slark when I'm support or enemy Slark. So I have like a decent idea of itemization routes. Everything you said makes sense so far. I'm not sure if I would Harpoon on him. I mean, you could rebuild the Oblivion Staff into a Harpoon. I think Mage Slayer feels safer, better maybe.
Yeah, I've only played Slark a few times this patch specifically, like since Harpoon came out. Like my instinct on him is that you don't really need it.
Yeah.
But if you ended up not needing a Mage Slayer, it's worth considering. You would get the Echo Saber back, still finish like a Scotty, a Basher, or something along those lines.
You don't rush
and
it.
then, yeah, when you run out of slots, you could buy the Harpoon. That's probably the earliest you would buy it, just because you already have Gap Close built in, and you actually want to pounce them because it gives you the 3 Essence Shift stacks. So it's like you'd rather use the pounce and hit them with it than to have then use Harpoon and safe pounce sort of deal. So it's like a lot of Slarks, if they can, they'll lead the fight off with 2 pounces on the same guy. Like, not instant, but pounce, wait 2 seconds, pounce again. Just get yourself those Essence Shift stacks rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the entire power of this hero, by the way. That's his entire skill set, and itemization is how do I hit these guys more to get Essence Shift? Because that's how you carry. You have 30, 40 Essence Shift stacks in a fight. Suddenly that's an extra 25 armor, extra 120 attack speed. It's crazy. 120 damage. They have less armor. You're taking their stats too. So, yeah, that's how the hero ends up carrying the game. Is long fights where he gets to hit them a bunch of times basically.
So you disengage, you wait for cooldowns, you save ult and Q if you don't need it, but you use them obviously if you need it to survive, and then you wait at the edge of the fight, just like an Ursa might after Enrage and Q and Shard.
Exactly,
wait
like
for Blink,
yeah.
and then you re-engage when it's good.
Exactly. On Ursa, you blink on somebody, you hit them 6 times. Usually, you'll kill them with that and your ulti. You'll walk away, wait the blink cooldown, go again. It's like the exact same thing on Slark.
Okay.
Just different, things dictating the cooldowns.
Yep.
The biggest thing about Slark. Okay, there's probably like 5 or 6. I mean, I could talk about Slark all day, to be honest, but I'm not gonna a lot of it's. We need to make sure you get the crucial stuff. So.
Yes.
I'm glad you bought a sentry early on. I always try to have a sentry in my backpack at almost every stage of the game. Just casually walking through a ward is one of the best things about Slark, because you just know they have vision of you at any point. And so one thing about connecting to fights, like if I see a fight going on, I don't want to say it's like 100% yes or no based on their wards, but if I walk through a ward going towards a fight, I'm like infinitely less likely to take a fight there. Like I'll try to tell my team, this hill's warded, we need to kill it, and usually I won't go if there's a ward. So that's like really important for Slark, because he always should theoretically have the vision advantage, because he knows when they see him, and he also has 1800 night vision, one of the few heroes in the game that does. And then generally speaking, if I'm a little bit worried about being ganked, I will push my Q. It gives you effectively 2.5 seconds to gauge your safety, because it delays for 1.5 and then ticks off for 1. And then towards the end of that 2.5 seconds, I'm ready to pounce away. That's like my default. And if my pounce is not far enough, or I don't think it's enough based on who went on me, I'll ult. Like that's kind of like the
just
mindset.
Complete panic, preordained. I think I'm in deep shit. Spider sense is tingling. You do all those moves.
Yes, it's Dark Pact process. Like think about it, then pounce, then ult. And the main thing about that is that's the ideal way to play Slark, because that saves all your cooldowns, because you can disengage with that and then re-engage, 10 seconds later. But it's just important to note if you can Dark Pact or not. If you can Dark Pact their spells, because if they have like a Doom or something, that's just not going to cut it. You can't do the whole Dark Pact, wait 2.5 seconds to pounce.
Yes.
You'll probably have to just pounce preemptively, sort of deal.
Besides being new to Slark, distracting me a bit from my essentials, my basics, I'm mostly aware of what is dispellable and not. So
cool.
Yeah, not
that's
as
good.
Noob as 6 months ago when I think our last coaching was or something.
Honestly, I don't expect really most people to know the interactions between Dark Pact, just because most people aren't approaching the game the way you're approaching it. So yeah, it's good to hear.
I could still get it wrong, because I'm gonna be learning a new hero, so some essentials will definitely go down. But I know about Maledict, but I can stop Dismember halfway, so that's good stuff.
Yeah, I've kind of said it all. I think for I need to say for before we play the live game, if you're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah, sure.